Back 4 Blood is known to be one of the most RNG intensive games to speedrun. No matter how far ahead you may be in your splits, just one stroke of bad luck killed the run instantly. So, let's take a look at the gamers who grinded to get the fastest runs and unwrap the reason behind the community's disappearance. This is the history of Back 4 Blood speedrunning. Before we begin, I would like to clarify that Back 4 Blood consists of 4 different acts which has multiple chapters with various amounts of levels. Speedrunners prefer to run each act individually instead of running the whole campaign. The game also has 3 different difficulties: Recruit, Veteran, and Nightmare. Thus, I will only be covering Act 1 on Recruit as it is a much more popular category, causing the world record to progress much further than the others. The first ever recorded speedrun of the game was done on 10 October 2021 by Maxi Lopes. He is well known in the speedrunning community, having held world records in other games such as Silent Hill 3 and Lord of the Rings. He's also a moderator for a bunch of games on speedrun.com. Maxi was running the whole campaign, so the run consisted of all acts, which includes Act 1. He also had early access to the game, which allowed him to be the very first person to speedrun Back 4 Blood. So, let's check out the strategies he implemented for his run. First off, let's talk about the in-game characters and the card system. Before you start a game, each player will be given the option to choose between 8 different survivors, with each survivor having their own unique abilities and perks. Afterwards, you can select the pre-made decks that you want to use during the game. These decks contain cards that buffs the player's character, which can be bought at the supply lines using supply points earned from achievements or completing levels. This allows players to build decks according to the playstyle they prefer, whether that be a glass cannon or a tank. One of the categories of cards is called Mobility, which gives the player movement speed or stamina to allow them to run further for longer periods of time. In Maxi's case, he uses the character Evangelo as he has the ability to break out of grabs and also provides movement speed to the whole team. His deck mainly consists of mobility cards that increases stamina and its efficiency, prolonging his running distance. Now, you might be wondering, how did Maxi unlock all the cards before the game was even officially released? Well, if you play the game on the solo campaign mode, you get every card unlocked. This allowed Maxi to build an optimal deck for speedrunning without the need to grind for supply points. The main goal of the game is to reach the safe room at the end of each level, excluding the last level of every chapter, which has a unique mission. Since the game was still in early access, there isn't much to say about Maxi's run since there weren't any skips or tricks that were discovered yet. The run mainly consists of him running to the end as fast as possible, but it wasn't very clean to say the least. He got slowed, stunned, blocked, and almost fell off the map, but at the time, he was the first person to ever complete the game in under 2 hours, which caught a lot of attention. This probably was what sparked the sudden surge of players in the speedrunning community and caused the world records to improve in such a short amount of time. On the 13th of October 2021, the runner Pustolark will be the next person to achieve a world record on Act 1 with a time of 36 minutes and 29 seconds, 3 minutes faster than Maxi's run. However, footage of the run is not available due to it being deleted. It is believed that it was deleted by Pustolark himself, as harsh comments towards the moderators were mentioned throughout the run. He has since apologized for his actions and no hard feelings were felt from both parties. 2 days later, he would beat his own record again with a 35:37. Pustolark's run wasn't too different to Maxi's. He utilized more movement speed cards than stamina cards compared to Maxi's deck, and he got a much cleaner run, only being slowed a handful of times. He also got better RNG in certain maps. Let's take the map 4-1 Bad Seeds as an example. In this level, you are required to destroy these yellow blobs, also known as nests, to free a bus suspended in mid-air to create a makeshift breach and get to the safe room on the other side. You need to destroy the main nest to free the bus. However, it only spawns after you destroy the two smaller nests. These small nests can spawn in multiple locations. After destroying one of the small nests, a horde will spawn and the next nest will be invulnerable for roughly 20 seconds. Once the yellow blobs reappear, you will then be able to destroy the small nest and the main nest respectively to progress. Thus, the location of the small nest matters a lot. In Pustolark's case, he had the best nest pattern in the game. He got the nearest possible spawn for the first nest, allowing him to destroy it as early as possible, which causes the second nest to start its invulnerability timer to count down immediately. His second nest was placed at the nearest spawn location from the main nest, which gives him the opportunity to instantly destroy both nests one after another. On the 16th of October 2021, two skips were discovered for 1-4 The Crossing. For this map, after shooting a propane tank to make a path and sprinting to the other side of the bridge, the NPC known as Coach would then give explosives to plant on the ferry to blow it up and complete the level. These two skips create a shortcut straight to the bomb site instead of having to run a longer route. The first of which was discovered by Diggity, which requires you to jump off the bridge and climb over the ferry's railing. This is dangerous of course, as jumping too early or late will cause the player to fall into the ocean and die, ending the run. The safer alternative skip was discovered by the runner Derek P50. For this skip, you need to run to the other side of the ferry, jump off the ledge and land on a barge. It would then lead you to a hole that you can go through to plant the explosive. These skips can save roughly 10 to 20 seconds of running. Armed with this new knowledge, Derek then claimed a new world record with a 35:08 utilizing the safe ferry skip. He used the same deck as Pustolark's, which had the card headbang magnifier, giving the player a boost in use speed. This saves a lot of time from interactions throughout the run, like planting explosives, rescuing survivors, and boarding up windows. The record would then be beaten again the next day, twice, by Pustolark with a 34:24 and Quacknoff with a 34:11, 4 hours later. So, why did they suddenly save so much time? Well, a player known as Bloodshot9001 discovered that you can complete the level 2-2 bookworms without having to enter the safe room. Apparently, when you die after rescuing the survivors in the apartments, the game would initiate the completion of the level. Pair that with a minor skip that Koka-chan found, which allows the player to get to the survivors without having to go through the apartments, and you have a 20-second time save. There is no known reason as to why this happens, but since it saved time, the speedrunning community began making use of it. Bloodshot also found that you can skip the entire trailer sequence in 4-1 Hell Spells by jumping over the fence with the use of the minigun after starting the event. Pustolark would then later refine this skip by jumping over the fence with the use of a nearby truck instead. This gives the runner the opportunity to prematurely run through the entire map without waiting for the trailer to create a path as intended. This skip will later be coined as the turtle skip. However, it was discovered that the game softlocks if you open the door at the church before the trailer mission is completed. Thus, players would wait until the trailer mission is completed before opening the door. Without the need to wait for the trailer and being able to run to the next objective ahead of time, this skip saves around 30 seconds. With these discoveries, getting a new world record was there for the taking. Diggity would then lower the time with a 34:05, utilizing another skip that was discovered by Speedrun's Sin. In 1-2 Tunnel of Blood, after destroying the locked door that leads to the safe room, you can initiate the completion of the level without stepping foot into the safe room. By jumping towards this wall, you will hit the trigger that tells the game that you're in the safe room. This saves 5 seconds from having to open and close the safe room door manually. A day later, a new movement tech was discovered that would change Back 4 Blood speedrunning forever. That is, the discovery of stem hopping. You see, whenever a player runs in the game, their stamina depletes, so the strategy most players used at the time was to increase stamina and movement speed to maximize the duration you can run and increase the distance traveled. But it was discovered that if you jump immediately after letting go of the sprint key, you don't lose stamina. It is uncertain as to who discovered it, but early mentions of the tech is found around mid-October of 2021. With this discovery, Quacknoff lowered the time with a 33:41, the first sub-34. But that would not compare to the record that would be set on the next day. Derek did it. He achieved the first ever sub-33. How did he do it? Well, let's take a look at his run. He used the safe room skip on Tunnel of Blood, the safe ferry skip on the crossing, completed bookworms with the death skip, and had a decent nest pattern on bad seats. What else could he have done right? You see, in Back 4 Blood, certain interactions in the game can only be triggered when the whole team are gathered around. This means that you have to wait for the bots in your team to run to you before you can progress to the later stages of the game. These interactions are found on the crossing, Barroom Blitz, the diner, House Bells, Abandoned, and Sound of Thunder. In many cases, the bots will either get stuck or take their time shooting riddance before teleporting or running to you. In Derek's case, he had a slow TP on the crossing, a decent TP on the diner, a fast TP on House Bells, and an instant TP on Abandoned and Sound of Thunder. With all these faster interactions, he managed to save a bunch of time from having to wait for the bots. With that, Derek managed to clinch the world record for the second time. Wait, where's his score? Oh yeah, his run was rejected due to his face cam and mouse and keyboard overlay blocking the HUD. But it was an impressive time regardless, as he unofficially held the first ever sub-33. A new runner would then emerge from the Back 4 Blood speedrunning Discord server. Not a lot of players took notice of him at first, but it wouldn't take long before everyone's eyes would turn to him as he would cement himself as the best Back 4 Blood speedrunner. Steve achieved the first sub-32, the last minute barrier that everyone knew was possible. He was miles ahead from any other runner. Second place was a full minute and a half behind him. So, what did Steve do differently to create such a huge lead? For one, he was more efficient in stem hopping. He had better stamina management and used stem hops as much as possible. He also doesn't skip the vendor, as he can actually sell certain upgrades that can help the run. You see, the weapons in Back 4 Blood have a unique feature. Players can equip attachments to guns which can enhance the weapon's efficiency. The most useful attachments for speedrunners are the lightweight variants of stocks, which gives bonus movement speed and comes in 4 different tiers. The purple stock gives the most movement speed, while the green gives the least. Since the attachments that appear in the vendor are all RNG, getting a lightweight stock in general is lucky. In Steve's case, he got the green stock on the first map and then a blue stock later. He used the Safe Room Skip, Safe Ferry Skip, the Death Skip, and the Turtle Skip. He also got fast TPs on the Crossing and Hell's Bells and instant TPs on the Diner and Sound of Thunder. He had a decent nest pattern on Bad Seeds, and the only negative thing that could be said about the run was a slow TP on Abandoned. With all this combined, Steve's run would stay at the top of the leaderboard unchallenged. On the 11th of November 2021, Turtle Rock Studios will release a new update that would change Back 4 Blood speedrunning. They added acceleration to running, which means that players must hold sprint for a short time before hitting their top speed. They also fixed the death skip on bookworms. This new update also meant that the leaderboards had to be wiped, as it wouldn't be fair to run against times from the previous patch. This new update would later be called Patch 1.1 and the original patch be called 1.0. Many of the 1.0 runners would later stop running the game as the movement felt foreign to them. But even as times looked tough, there was still a player base speedrunning the game, though nobody could get close to Steve's sub 32. Not even Steve himself could beat his 1.0 time. But then, the real killer of Back 4 Blood speedrunning emerged when the December patch was rolled out. On the 14th of December 2021, they removed stam hopping and nerfed a bunch of speed cards that many speedrunners used. This update killed what was left of the speedrunning community. There was now only a handful of players left that still ran the game on the December patch, also known as Patch 1.2. Thankfully, it was later discovered that you could downpatch to the original 1.0 patch, which many of the speedrunners were accustomed to. However, most of them had already retired or left to speedrun other games. The 1.0 leaderboards were then re-erected for players interested in running the base game again. One of those players was Hazeblade. Hazeblade has been a Back 4 Blood speedrunner ever since patch 1.0, but he never ran the categories that were popular at the time. He usually speedruns the full game or categories on the Nightmare difficulty. However, after the 1.2 patch was rolled out, he had a goal set in mind. He wanted every single world record on every category in the game on all playable patches. And that's what he did. His achievements were indeed impressive, but there was only one world record that he still had not beaten, and that was Steve's 31:52 on Act 1.
And it's actually the last category before I have all of the world records for the game.
Hazeblade came prepared. He brought many of the minor optimizations that was used in the newer patches over to 1.0. It would just be a matter of time before the world record would be his. On the 4th of January 2022, Hazeblade would achieve this run.
Fuck. Come on. Fuck yes! Let's fucking go! Let's fucking go! Let's go! Fuck yes, dude! Fuck yes!
He did it. He beat Steve's record, which was the longest standing world record at the time. So, what did Hazeblade do differently to get the world record? For starters, he got a purple stock on the first map.
Purple stock, let's go.
He also used a movement tech called B-hopping, which allows players to carry their momentum forward without using stamina. This is done by tapping space on the first frame in which your character hits the ground after stam hopping. It's a very difficult tag to pull off and it's never consistent, but it can save a lot of time from having to regenerate stamina. He also used the dangerous ferry skip instead of the safer alternative, which saves 3 seconds. He had good RNG when it came to bot TPs, as most of them were fast or instant. He also bought grenade upgrades to use in bad seats and abandoned, as it was discovered that by using a nade, it can destroy nests through walls instantly. With this trick, it is possible to destroy a nest early on abandoned by throwing a nade at the walls of the house and hoping that a nest is nearby to be destroyed. In Hazeblade's case, he had a good pattern on bad seats and he got an early nest nade on abandoned. Other minor optimizations, such as nading the locked door before the safe room on Tunnel of Blood and nading the propane tank before the bridge in the crossing, helped save some extra time as well. He also used a grenade lineup that destroys the 2 doors that leads to the diner, which can be locked and eats up time if destroyed manually. With all these minor time saves, it made it easier for anyone to get the world record. But because he made it easier for everyone to get the world record, that also includes the best speedrunner in the game, as 10 days later, Steve would reclaim the world record with a 31:46. Hazeblade would then take it back with a 31:41 the next day.
Let's fucking go! Let's go! Fuck yeah!
This would be the last time Hazeblade holds the world record for this category, as he retired from the game a few weeks after. The game was taking a toll on his mental health, so he decided to move on to another game.
Dude, come on, fuck off! I hate this game!
I hate this game. Like there's like a burning urge to never play this game ever again.
He will later be a world record holder for Elden Ring.
Yes! Let's fucking go! Let's fucking go, baby!
During the month of February, whilst grinding to claim the world record, someone suggested to Steve to use Carly instead of Evangelo. Why Carly, you might ask? Well, first of all, she provides an additional 50% use speed, which is beneficial for maps that requires a lot of interactions. For example, saving the survivors in Clean Sweep, planting the explosives on the crossing, or boarding up the windows in Bookworms and Hellspells. Now, you might think that without using Evangelo, you would lose the additional movement speed he provides. However, it was found that upon using Carly, Evangelo would later be selected as a bot, thus he still provides the additional movement speed to the team. Furthermore, her Tech 9 is registered as an SMG, so it still works with the card Speed Demon, which speedrunners used. This frees up the primary weapon slot to carry a much stronger weapon like the AA-12 to kill the breaker in Clean Sweep faster. The only downside to using Carly is losing some stamina regeneration and the ability to break out of stun grabs. But the thing is, in a speedrun, you would not want to get grabbed in the first place, and most of the time you'll be stam hopping, so stamina regeneration isn't too important. So, to be safe, you could buy 2 stun guns in the vendor, as Carly can hold 2 quick slot items. Using this new meta, Steve would then get the world record with a 31:38.
Yes, dude. That's a Carly world record. Let's go.
Overall, his run was way cleaner. He didn't get a stock immediately on the first map, but he got good TPs throughout the run and had decent RNG on the nest patterns. With the new Carly meta, he killed the breaker on Clean Sweep easily and rescued the survivors way faster. He also had the best crate spawn on 3-1 special delivery. For this mission, you have to search for a lost crate and bring it over to the safe room. It can spawn in multiple locations, but it's easy to find as Steve himself discovered that you just have to look for the flashlights laying on the ground. But Steve wasn't satisfied with this. He wanted more. He wanted a sub 31:30. During this time, a player was investigating the reason behind speedrunners losing time on the map Barroom Blitz.
Yeah, see, I'm losing time on Barroom Blitz again. I don't know what's going on with these fucking splits. I'm gonna lose time. I don't know why I've been losing time on this level. It doesn't make any damn sense.
The mission for the level is to defend a jukebox to distract the ridden away from the fleeing survivors. Many players thought that it was likely just due to slower movement before turning on the jukebox. But that couldn't be the case, as it can be as random as losing 5 seconds to more than 10 seconds in a run. The thing is, Barroom Blitz is a timed map, so no matter what you do, you shouldn't be losing any time as long as the jukebox doesn't break down. Well, the player discovered that on random occasions, the survivor rescued would jump a number immediately after starting the jukebox, speeding up the rescue time. He notified the Discord server about this discovery, and players start to jump in and figure out how it can be replicated. However, nobody could come up with a strategy to pull it off consistently. It was decided that it was RNG, and this skip would later be coined as the fast cycle. After 10 days of grinding, Steve finally achieved his goal of getting a sub 31:30.
Yes, dude. Yes, the grind is over.
He got a purple stock on the first map. He got fast TPs for all interactions, and had good nest patterns for bad seeds and the early nest lane on Hellspells. However, he did have a slower death skip on Bookworms and had a slower crate spawn on Special Delivery compared to his previous PB. Overall, he wasn't as lucky as his previous record, but it was enough to get a sub 31:30. Afterwards, Steve announced that he will be taking a break from the game due to personal reasons. However, this run did raise the question of whether sub 31 was possible. The consensus at the time was that sub 31 was possible, but unrealistic to achieve as it required perfect RNG. It would require a lot of grinding and no mistakes could be made throughout the run. The players who could pull this off retired, thus the dream of seeing a sub 31 happen was gone. With that, it seemed as if Steve's time would remain at the top of the leaderboard indefinitely. No one else had gotten a sub 32 other than Hazeblade, who retired as well. Remember the player that discovered the fast cycle on Barroom Blitz? Well, he was strictly running the stockless category, which involves not using any of the lightweight stock attachments in the game. So, technically speaking, stockless runs should be slower than the normal category. However, the player matched Hazeblade's time with a 31:42 without the use of stocks. This encouraged him to try out the normal category, and a few days later, on the 3rd of March 2022, he would beat Steve's time with a 31:19. His run was honestly not that great. He got a blue stock in the beginning, had slower TPs throughout the run, bad nest and window patterns, and had a slow death skip. He also got the worst crate spawn on Special Delivery. The only good part of the run was the instant TP on the diner. He mainly saved time from better stamina management and movements. He would later improve his time with a 31:08, almost 9 seconds away from breaking sub 31. He knew that he had the ability to do the impossible, and no one else could stop him from being the first person to break the last humanly possible minute barrier. It was just a matter of time before it happened. Out of nowhere, Steve stepped in and took the record with a 30:54, being the first person to break sub 31. It came as a surprise to many people as they thought that he had stopped playing the game. But secretly, Steve had been grinding the game for a few days before he got the record. He's not letting anyone take the number 1 spot away from him. The run itself wasn't actually as perfect as people thought it would be to break sub 31. he had slow cycle on Barroom Blitz, a slower crate spawn on Special Delivery, a slow TP on Hell Spells, and did the slower ferry skip on the Crossing. Most of the time saves were mainly from getting a purple stock, having a faster breaker kill on Clean Sweep, faster death skip, and an instant TP on Sound of Thunder. Even Steve himself said that the run could be better, but for now, that's where the record sits today. However, this begs the question, is sub 30 possible? Well, theoretically it is. Steve's sum of best is a 29.56. But ever since Steve had gotten the sub 31, many of the active runners stopped running the game and moved on. So this question may remain unanswered forever. Thanks for watching everybody. I hope you enjoyed the video. I've never done a video with so much research before, but I was just really bored one day and decided to spend a couple of months working on this project in my free time. If you're interested to see more of such videos, do let me know down in the comment section below. Anyways, I'll see you in the next video.